Hi guys, how's everybody doing? Sending out everybody a warm welcome today. So glad that you guys are all here today. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. Well, today, guys, we're going to be talking about God's wisdom and trusting in all that wisdom and in His plan. To really feel like right now we're being really asked to purify our hearts to God's love, so that He can start to work inside of us, right? To start to see all those things, all that wisdom through God. I think right now we're being asked, are willing to surrender to all of this, right? Because guys, you have to let all that stuff go, and sometimes it's hard. You have to let your ego go, that controlling part of you that kind of wants to control everything, your will, your actions, your desires, all your plans, everything. You have to let that all go and give that to God to really see the wisdom in everything. And I know it is hard. It's hard to do. But in order to be divinely guided, I think that we all need to do that. Even when things are unclear to us, right? We need to keep on doing that. Keep on surrendering that to God. Because I think, with our ego always feels this need to be right sometimes, right? I know they're not right, and I know they're not coming at me. That's not the right answer, so I'm going to tell them. Because my ego, I know I'm right, and I'm going to say something, right? God doesn't always, he doesn't want us to do that. And then, have you guys ever said, I'm losing myself. I'm losing everything, right? I think that's a part of also letting go of our ego. As sometimes I think we all have said, I'm just losing myself in this, I can't find myself in this anymore. Well, why don't we all start to, including me guys too, really start to rethink that and find myself being lost in God instead of being lost in myself. I think I'm gonna start to change that around and see that differently, guys. And then we talk about, having to surrender the control and the will of everything. That can be hard too, because the control, it controls our thoughts, it controls our outcome. And sometimes it can come from a fear or anxiety. We feel like we have to control it. We have to really, I think sometimes too, guys, to be totally honest, I know with me, sometimes, honestly, I feel like if I let go of the control and let God do it, like I'm not trusting Him, like I'm afraid that it won't work out the way I want it to. I know that sounds bad. I'm working on that, right? And really letting go of that control and seeing where, and He's had the control all along. So we might as well just give it to Him, right? And not try to control every outcome. Because it's like the more we try to control it, it's not going to go that way, right? The more we try to say that it should be this way, or that I'm going to do it this way, it never really works out that way. God has it all planned out for us, right? Also, thinking about, really surrendering our desires and all of our plans too. Think what God is telling us to do with that is, of course, just release them to God. He knows all the desires of our heart, guys. He already knows all that. So He would bring that into us, but we have to be willing to surrender it to Him so that He can bring it into that place. We can't let it come from a place of ego, right? Our desires come from a place of ego. We feel like we have to be right about everything. Sometimes, if we feel that into our ego, and then also, that control. I'm going to control this. This is my desires. This is what I feel. This is what I want to do. I'm going to control that. Not even really thinking about how God already knows the desires of our heart, right, guys? And He's going to bring it into us because He knows that. So we might as well just surrender to Him, surrender that to God too. Because He knows, He made us, right? He knows all of those things. He knows what's best for us, right? And then we try to control it. He also, He knows what's right for us too. And sometimes we think, oh, this is right for me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to control it. No. Keep on surrendering it to God, guys. It is a process. And I think we're all working on that. So everybody keep going. All right, guys. Well, here is some of the messages that I'm getting in, from God today about really seeing God's wisdom in our lives today. So the first one is recognize my voice and realize the outcome. I want you to come from a place of humility and forgiveness. God is saying that He will never humiliate or shame you. He's not having you go through these things to hear His voice, to make you feel humiliated or to make you feel shameful. It's just a place where He wants you to become humble. He wants you to forgive yourself too. If you feel like maybe you haven't been listening to that voice and you've been kind of all over the place, don't feel shameful about it. Or maybe you did something where you thought, man, I can't believe I did that. Don't let the shame come in. God never meant it to be that way. So don't you feel that way either, okay? Those are just those low energies that are coming in that are not of God, all right? So time to let them go, okay? And thinking about a Bible verse too, James 1:15. It says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. So in asking for this place to see more wisdom through God, and see maybe where you felt like that shame, or you felt like, you just felt a certain way, those lower energies. Remember, God does not judge you. He doesn't. He doesn't judge you in that way. It says here, if you're coming to Him and you say, I have that lack of wisdom right now, I need help with that, you should just ask God. He gives of you generously, so generously, guys. He knows everything. He will show it to you and give it to you. And to all, He's not going to be finding faults in it about maybe things that you were feeling shameful for. He's not going to find any fault in that. He's just glad that you're asking for it now and asking for you to have Him show you, these areas of wisdom. These areas where we're always learning, always growing. And God, there's a lot of love in that, guys. And I feel like God, He just really appreciates that. He likes that when you talk to Him, right? And then it says that it will be given to you. All right, so don't worry, it will be given to you. Like I always say, maybe it won't come about the way that you thought it was going to, but it'll be for the best and the most loving way as it comes in for you, all right? And the next one is, got this one coming in. Wisdom requires surrendering, which we talked about fully. God wants you to see it through Him. He tells us now that, sometimes things can't be explained. We can't always come from that place of logic and try to figure it out and try to explain it, because it's not always going to happen. Remember, it comes from God. It cannot be controlled. You can't feel maybe when God brings something in for you and you're like, oh, this is amazing. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. And I'm going to start to control it right away. Well, God, no. I didn't even say it like that. Well, God says no to that, right? He wants you to lose that control. Even when you start to see godly things come in, you're like, oh my goodness, I got to do this, 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 this. And then what happens? You end up not being in that place of wisdom because you're trying to control it, right? Just see what comes in. Really come from that place of giving to God right now, right? And seeing, and like I said, that's one of the desires. Maybe one of the desires is where you want to work right now. Getting more money, seeing those things. But like I said, and then it kind of gets frazzled when it comes in because you're not willing to take those steps with God after it happens. Believe too that, like we said, He's not taught by logic, right? We talked about that, but by revelation. Really becoming from those places of humility, really being thankful for it instead of just kind of letting your mind go and start to control it right away. And realizing that there has to be that reasoning there with God, not on your own, right? Not you start to reason on your own, but reasoning with God. And He's running every single word for you. So surrender to that and realize it's all been written for you, and it's all been written in a special way for your greatest good. All right? The next one is, I will never shout over your thoughts, but come in the moments of peace and silence, right? Like we talked about that before. If God brings something into you, then your mind starts going, you feel like you have to control it, you're racing, you're out in the world, your mind is constantly going. God will never come to you during those times. He won't be heard, guys. It's in those moments of peace and silence that you feel him the most, right? So don't let yourself get that anxiety, right? You know, sometimes it's hard, guys, to feel that anxiety, you know, to feel all those pressures that are coming in. Don't let the world, guys, keep you so busy that you become blind, not being able to see really what's coming in for you. Maybe you decide that one night you've been so busy and you sit down, so I'm really going to be with God right now. I'm going to be in the silence. And maybe then what happens when we all sit down and we be silent? Our mind goes crazy, right? We start thinking about all these things. Man, what am I going to do tomorrow? Or, you know, man, I got to put a load of laundry in. Oh, dinner. I got to cook dinner. So you really start thinking about those places in the world when you really said you were going to be with God in those moments of silence. It might take a few times maybe to get used to it because your mind is so used to go, go, go. But keep on going. Keep on surrendering that to God. Let him show you that wisdom in that silence. And you have to let just everything go. That dinner, you know, you say, okay, I'll start it as soon as I get done with this and let it go, right? Trying to get that load of laundry in. Well, it'll be there when you're done talking to God. You don't have to think about it right then. Do it after. Make sure that you are dedicated to that time with God in that space of silence and see all that wisdom that's coming in for you. All right? And then the last one is, wisdom isn't about having it all figured out, guys. It's about seeing the world the way that I do. And God says through his love. It was never about having it all figured out. It was about just seeing the world through God's love. You don't have to know all the steps. You don't have to know everything. It's not intended to know everything. We're supposed to just live in those moments, right? We're not supposed to worry about the future or the past because God's got that. So we need to try to stay more in those moments, more in those places of love. You're not going to have it all figured out because God already has done that for us. All right? And those are the messages I'm getting in. So let's go ahead and let's move on now to some things about developing your spiritual wisdom, you know, guys, through God. It's your relationship with God, of course, and seeing all this wisdom that's coming in, seeing everything through his love, right? It's all about God's love. It's all about the feelings here. If we find ourselves going up too much here, I think we try to overanalyze everything. Maybe try to drop it down to our heart space just a little bit more, you know, seeing those moments, you know, with God and his love that he's bringing through to with us. It doesn't have anything to do with, like we talked about really understanding everything. Oh, there goes my voice again, with the cough. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. Through really, you know, understanding everything. Nothing to do with seeking to understand. Maybe we think we need to seek God out right now to understand everything. No, that's not the way that it goes. God is coming to you. Be willing to seek what's coming in for him. I think it's kind of like controlling it. Well, I'm just going to seek God out right now, and I'm going to see what he has coming in for me. No, he just wants you to sit in that silence, see what's seeking, see what's coming in, you know, for you during that time. To understand that, not really seeking it, but really seeing that it's going to come through a pure heart. When you are a pure of heart, or when you're in those really places where you feel all that love, don't you feel like you're more authentic? Don't you feel like more things coming in? God wants you to be in that space more, especially in those moments of silence, all right? When you're getting those things that are coming in. God has to show you these things. sometimes in ways that we don't expect, right? That person that did not understand you, they're thinking, oh man, I thought I explained that so well, and they don't understand a word I'm saying. Right? What did I do? Start to freak out a little bit. You got to take it down, right? Take it down a little bit. And they did not, it's going to be the person that did not understand you. Stop seeing the world as right or wrong, right? You're saying, oh, that person, they did not understand me. What's wrong with me, right? You're seeing it in a right way. Oh, they understood me. Everything's all right. Oh, they didn't understand me. Everything's all wrong, you know? You see it in the way that person, you know, is reacting to you. And God's telling you to stop seeing that way because you're seeing it through the world as that right or wrong, you know, affects how you feel. Instead, see what God is reflecting back to you in these moments, right? Through his own heart. Seeing that this person didn't understand you, and it's all right. Because who has all the understanding? God. So if you take it to him and realize it's all about him, 110% about him, and not about that worldly things, you're not going to go into those moments where you start to see everything is right and wrong and really get to those spaces. Sometimes it's despair the more you think about it, right? And not really going to God, you know, in all those moments. So believe that through his truth, guys, we're seeing that love. Through his truth saying, you know, they didn't understand you. It's okay, I do. Come to me. That's his truth. That's his understanding for you. And really seeing it that way, you start to evolve and you start to change, right? You no longer needed to resonate with that. As you break free from that and you realize that you're finally seeking God in all that. You're not seeking out that person. Maybe you feel like the other day, maybe one time you thought, man, they didn't understand me. I'm going to go back and explain it again to them tomorrow. Well, you do it, same thing. That person maybe not even be interested in hearing what you have to say. So God's, I think, saying, let that go. That's an area of control too, where you feel like everybody has to understand you. Just really that God always does. And, you know, keep on surrendering it to him. It's not of the world, it's of his love, right? Of his love always. So I have an example too of how God used so much grace, but he also came about with that love in order to teach, in order to learn, in order to have the people around him grow. So as you guys know, I don't know if you guys remember this from the Bible, there was an adulteress within the community in the Bible, and they were getting ready to stone her for committing adultery, right? So God, in his compassion, in his generosity, in that love, what does he say? Let him who is without sin throw the first stone. No one threw a stone. Everyone had to think about it. He didn't say, I'm sorry, my voice is going. He didn't say, she's an evil person and she broke the law. I know you guys want to stone her, but this is what we're going to do. No, he did not do that. He did not say, she's a lawbreaker. Are you guys are throwing these stones? You guys are bad, evil people. How could you want to throw a stone at her when you do these things yourself? Are you sin yourself? No, he said none of that. He came from that place of love. He not only protected her, showed her and the community around them compassion, but he exposed the law and how the law was really unjust just by saying those words, and did it in such a compassionate, kind, not an evil way, very loving. So he was able to get his point across without doing that. He didn't try to control anything. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't getting angry. And that's all he said. Very impactful, very loving, very compassionate, right? So I think that needed to really be brought up, because sometimes I think we're going to be guided to say certain things like that and not be like, you are so mean to her, right? Maybe we're going to be guided to say something else, just in a very kind and compassionate way. And we're seeing that how much of a healing process that has just by finding that wisdom through God. That was very wise of God, right? And we're learning a lesson through that on how to really interact with people, you know, that are maybe doing not nice things, and showing them compassion and showing the person that maybe messed up too compassion too. It takes a lot. And God is saying there is so much wisdom there. Okay, guys. Well, I wanted to move on to talk about suffering, right? Because a lot of times we go through things that are just awful. We do a lot of suffering through them. We're thinking, how can God let this happen? Right? Well, if God really cared about me, He wouldn't let me go through this. He's supposed to be protecting me. He's supposed to be looking out after me. How could He let this happen? How can He do this to me, right? Well, guys, when it comes to suffering, we see it as suffering. We have the ability to see it as suffering. But don't have it become a wall to God's love, to this wisdom that He's showing you, right? Don't let it become that wall. Look at Job, guys. He lost everything. And he did not blame God. It's not us to blame God, but to seek Him. To seek Him, right? Seek Him in those moments. Don't say, God, how could you have done this? But maybe show me the wisdom through this. Show me the love through this. Instead of being that, and it becomes a wall, and then you block out God's love. So we're asked in our suffering not to blame God, right? To seek Him and acknowledge His sovereignty during these times. Trust in God instead of blaming Him, right? You're trusting in those things that seem to be so devastating. You're not blaming Him. You're trusting Him in everything, right? Which at times I know it's hard to do too, but it's only going deeper into God's love during these times, right? Blessing and staying faithful. I think it's so easy, guys, when things are going well, right? We are like, wow, this is amazing. Everything is going so well, I feel great, God is so good. But then when things aren't going well, what do? God did this to me. Man, how could He have done this to me? I am really not liking this at all, right? So I think it's telling us to stay blessed with God during the good and the bad times. If you're blessing Him in the good times, make sure you give Him you bless Him in the bad times too, right? And don't blame Him for that. Acknowledge His sovereignty, right? And go deeper into God's love. Go deeper into God's word. Oh my goodness, guys. And this is going on 25 minutes. So I also want to talk about the logic of pride. I think I'm going to bring that out in another video. I didn't realize it was going so long, but I'll talk about that in the next video and kind of extend it a little bit. But I wanted us also too, if we're looking for that wisdom, going deeper with God right now, if we can kind of just say this prayer, and if you want to, when I say it, you can just repeat it after me, and then we will end this. And because like I said, I'm sorry it's going so long, and then we will end this and then work on the rest. I'll tell about the rest tomorrow. All right. So here is the prayer. Dear God, may your truth be my compass, your love my guide. Make this rooted in faith and anchored in peace. I trust you and believe in you. Please lead me to your love as I find this wisdom through your peace and compassion, as you show me today and every day beautiful love. I ask this with a humble heart, and then you say love, and you just say your name, Love, Jenny. All right, guys, I will talk about the rest later and send you guys many blessings through your walk with this wisdom through God. All right, guys, I will talk to everybody soon. Bye, everybody.